kind of cold today, so I'm having to dance around to meatloaf and Cher. I mean, what more do you want? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a mystery video. This is a tale that has perplexed Devon and the surrounding areas in England for over 160 years. So grab yourself a coffee, get yourself snuggled up in your blankets, and let's dive into the tale of the devil in Devon. So let's set the scene. It's February the 8th, 1855. Devon, in the southwest of England and the surrounding areas, was experiencing particularly heavy snowfall. People in the rural communities all went to bed in their little cottages. I mean, they probably didn't all live in cottages, but you know, let's go with it. They go to bed and it's a normal evening, nothing out of the ordinary. However, when they arise on February the 9th, people looked out of their window to be greeted with the sight of hoof prints in the snow. Now, hoof prints outside, not a big deal, I hear you say. However, people quickly began to realise that these hoof prints made a track that spanned what they originally thought was going to be about 40 miles wide. However, some reports say that they went as far as 100 miles wide. Each hoof print was up to 4 inches long and around 3 inches wide. And there was an 8 to 16 inch gap between each print. The strangest part about these prints was the fact that they appeared to go up onto roofs, over walls. They appeared to go up to bodies of water and pass through them and continue on the other side. There was also a report that there were prints that appeared to go inside of a pipe. Now, this pipe was only 4 inches wide itself and then appear on the other side. The track marks were found in over 30 different locations and they all appeared to link together. Now, the locals tried as hard as they possibly could to try and figure out where these tracks had come from and what had made them. One night to cover a 100-mile area is pretty unrealistic for a human to be able to do that. So all kind of wild theories began to emerge. One of the more popular theories was that the tracks had been left by none other than the devil himself, who had decided to take a stroll through Devon. I love the idea of the devil in the stereotypical hell, you know, the burning flames, boiling hot, like, oh my God, Jesus, it's so hot down here. I need to go somewhere and cool off. And they're like, well, you know, Devon's not far away and they've just had some snow. And he's like, perfect. Now, to this day, the actual cause of these footprints has never been officially identified. But let's take a look at the potential theories that have been put forward over the last 160 years. Of course, we have the devil theory, and this seems to have originated when the local priests began talking about these prints arising at the when they were giving their sermons at the pulpit. Now, I'm not suggesting that the church has tried to manipulate any kind of situation for their own benefit, but it's handy, right? That if your parishioners, your flock started to, you know, lose its way a bit. This is 1850s. Religion was very, very much, you know, a huge part of people's lives, most people's lives back then, especially in this area. So, you know, if you want your parishioners to act and toe the line, casually dropping in that maybe the devil's knocking about, and if you're caught sinning, you're gone. It's handy, right? Now, of course, another theory is that it was just simply a hoax, that somebody had done it. But then you kind of think, well, how did they cover such a distance in one night? Another popular opinion is that it was just simply caused by animals. Horses, ponies, you know, could have been running around and could have caused that. Goats, donkeys, there's lots of things. There seem to be some differing reports as to what these prints actually looked like. And you would assume that locals would know the tracks of the animals that were in the area. On the same line as the horses and the ponies, of course, there is the idea that it could be rats or mice. This would explain how they could scurry up and over things, how they could go through pipes. But that would have to be one giant rat to leave a print that was 4 inches wide. There are some people that think that this is just a case of mass hysteria, that it's over time, it got exaggerated, people got scared, the tale got wilder and more extreme, which you can see how easily that happens. And whatever did actually cause this, there probably was a touch of hysteria that goes along with it. What I believe is one of the more realistic theories is that there was an experimental balloon that had escaped from the naval base, the Devonport dockyard. This balloon would have had 2 mooring ropes with shackles on the end, and the idea that it could leave the prints kind of makes sense. The fact that it had travelled such a distance that it could go up and over things also made sense. There are reports that people that worked at the Devonport dockyard at the time knew about this, and that the naval base had tried to hush it up, because when the balloon had escaped, and it happened to have happened on February the 8th, that it had caused considerable damage to some of the surrounding buildings, people's greenhouses, windows and such, before it eventually crashed and fell to the ground. So there would have been a lot of questions asked had that have become public knowledge, as well as the fact that, you know, they're going to have to pay to get all that stuff fixed, aren't they? And nobody wants to do that. So one of the crazier stories was that it was caused by a kangaroo, which is strange because if you know Devon, you don't really associate Devon with kangaroos. There was a Reverend Musgrave who wrote a letter to the Illustrated London Times, and he stated that it could be kangaroos that had done it, that there was kangaroos had escaped from a local private menagerie and had just gone wild, gone jumping around everywhere. Reverend Musgrave, however, also later on acknowledged the fact that he may have, made this story up to try and dispel the fears of his parishioners, because they were very much believing that the devil was roaming around and was going to get them, and these poor people were going to have heart attacks and die from fear of the devil. And the first thing he could think of was kangaroos. But it wasn't until the 1950s that lots of letters and drawings were discovered, and they began kind of trying to research what had happened. But of course, it's 100 years later. I mean, it's really just guesswork by this point. But several of the letters were written by priests and reverends themselves from the local churches, stating that they believed that these prints were the hoofed feet of the devil himself. But tracks similar to this have also been found in other places around the world. Poland, for example, in 1909 in New Jersey, in the US, similar prints appeared. And again, in March in 2009, prints appeared back in Devon. However, these were much more localized. In fact, they were very localized to one particular garden. So many people believe that that was a hoax. And I think so too. And in 2013, similar prints were also found up in Scotland, which again is likely to have been an April Fool's prank or somebody playing a trick on their friends. I guess we'll never know for sure now whether the devil did roam around in Devon on the February the 8th, 1855. And if it was him, is he ever coming back? Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and drop me a comment below. Let me know which theory you are subscribing to, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one